One of the things, well, let's start with the first verse. You may ask, why did he not seek to buy it until then? And he says, because he had no need for it. He was afraid that he would check it, understand his wish and the importance of the cave, and then ask for more money, or they could refuse to sell it altogether. Now that he needed it, the time had come to ask for it. So what he's referring to is, if you've read the story, Sarah dies, Abraham needs a place to bury her, and Abraham understands that this place called the Cave of Machpelah is the entrance to the Garden of Eden. It's a place that Adam and Eve are buried, and no better place for Sarah to be put than in the Garden of Eden. So, as it says, why didn't he ask for it before? And the simple answer is, he didn't need it. So, one of the lessons that we have to learn is not to ask for things we don't need. Yes. So, to not ask for the things that we don't need in sort of our terms means what? To not ask for what we want. That's tougher. Because we usually see with our senses, we tend to look at our lives and we decide what it is that I want. And on top of it, because we're all students here in the Kabbalah Center, we justify and rationalize it. So if a person's business is not going well, what do you think? They're scanning the Zohar, coming to Shabbat, giving their charity, helping out. What are they asking for? Better business, right? Why? Because if the business goes better, then they could give more, they can help more, they can do more, etc. Sounds great. But then what happens when the business disappears? They're scanning, giving, doing, and suddenly the business rug is just pulled right out from under them. Now what? What will tend to happen to all of us? Yeah, we're a little upset. I'm giving, helping, doing, sharing, all these things, looking for better business, and the business falls apart. Because it's important for us to distinguish between what we want and what we need. What we want and what we need. What we want is what we decide the Creator needs to give us. What we want, in essence, what are we saying to the Creator? To the light force. We know better. I know better than you, God, that I need better business. I know better than you, God, that my friend over there needs health and healing. I know better than you, God, that the world needs X, Y, Z. Because I'm seeing with my five senses what I believe the world needs, I need, and therefore we do our spiritual work in order to get it. If you stand back for a minute and you really understand the power of the light, what is the power of the light? The power of the light is constant sharing and shining and fulfilling our needs, not our wants. Because in the long run, what's the difference between needs and wants? Ultimately, what is it that every human being wants? What do we want? Total and absolute fulfillment. Eternal bliss, right? What is it the Creator wants to give us? So then what's the difference between our needs and our wants? Long term, nothing. Short term, I'm deciding how it should show up. So I'm going to tell the Creator it has to come through this person, this way, this job, this means, etc. Maybe it's the things going on politically that will determine how the world will come to peace and harmony. No, we don't know. We don't know. The Creator already wants to give the world absolute peace, harmony, joy, eternal bliss. It's up to us to learn how to accept that which is being given to us and then work with it. And not try and tell the Creator that we know better. As in the next verse. Come and behold, if Ephron had seen in the cave what Abraham saw, he would never have sold it. But because Ephron saw nothing in it, as nothing is revealed except to its owner, it was revealed to Abraham only and not to Ephron. It was revealed to Abraham because it was his and not Ephron's. For Ephron had no share in it, and therefore Ephron saw nothing of the cave. He saw only darkness, and therefore he sold it. The Rav used to say, If you listen to some of the old TLE classes, especially in New York, a gentleman, somebody will come along and build a skyscraper. They'll make an attempt to rent it out, and it won't rent out. And over time, he loses enough money that he's got to sell it. So he sells it to the next person, and the next person buys it, and all of a sudden, it's full tenancy. So the Rav would say, how come? Why did the first person not get and the second person did, when in essence nothing changed in the building, nor in the market? And the Rav would use this as a way of understanding. Because the first person who built the building, it didn't belong to him. It belonged to the second person. And that's why the first person had to give it up to the second person, and the second person had success from it. Because it didn't belong to the first one. So in this case we see that Ephron, he didn't see the Garden of Eden. If he had saw the Garden of Eden in it, do you think he'd sell it for 400 silver coins? Never in a million years. But because it didn't belong to him, he didn't see it. So he owned it, but he was willing to give it up. Why? Because he saw in his eyes more value in the 400 silver coins than he saw in the cave of Machpelah. Abraham, on the other hand, saw more value in the cave than 400 or maybe thousands of silver coins, because it belonged to him. So as you go back to Kabbalah 1 and we think about the things we learned in the very first course, when we came out of the endless world, who are we? What are we? I guess Ruthie doesn't ask you so many questions, huh? Come out of the endless world, what are we? We're vessels. So when we come out of the endless world, we are a vessel, and what's our condition? That's our nature. What's our condition? What's our condition? What's our condition? We're perfect vessels filled with 100% light that's hidden from our vision. That's our condition. We do not see all the light that's within us, but the light is always there. We come out of the endless world, there's nothing more for us to get. There's only for us to reveal. But we come into this world, and because we can't see the fulfillment, we can't see the physical material things, so that's where we come back to our wants. I want this, and I want this, and I want this, and I want this. Why? It starts in the endless world because the Creator gave it to us. We have a sense inside of us that we're supposed to have everything. We have a sense inside of us that our business is supposed to be completely fulfilling. Our relationships are supposed to be amazing. Everything in life is supposed to be heaven on earth. Then you look around with your five senses, and what do you see? Do you see amazing things? Do you see eternal bliss? Do you see heaven on earth? Yes or no? No. So then what do you say? God, hello, I want, and then you name your list. Didn't you do that before the center? Now we come to the center, we do the same thing, only now we add, I'm scanning the Zohar, I'm doing the 72 names, I'm volunteering, now give me what I want. We just up the price a little bit. But it's in essence the same thing. We are here to understand that it's already ours, it's already set out. And that's why, even though it was in the possession of Ephron, it didn't belong to him, like that building the Rav used to speak about. It didn't belong to the first guy. He built it for whatever reason he thought it was going to bring him fulfillment. But in the end, it didn't. So you and I now, we've already possessed and possess now, presently, things that don't belong to us. Things that don't belong to us on a spiritual level. Things that the Creator didn't set out for us. So as we, and especially many of you, who've been in the center for so many years, as you're doing your spiritual work, you're starting to notice more and more, aren't we? Things starting to go. This business leaves, the relationship goes, the health having a little challenge. Things that we would generally call chaos suddenly showing up. And whether we look in our own mirror or we look around the community, we say, I don't get it. This person been in the center for so long, and they show up every Shabbat, and they do this and this and this. Why do they have a little chaos in their life? By now they should have eternal bliss. Because we've all asked for our wants, received our wants, because Satan will fulfill every wish we have. But it's not the light. So then once we start to come to the light, being more with the light will remove the things that don't belong to us, like with Ephron. It didn't belong to him, so he was willing to give it up to Abraham, to whom it belonged. The second guy who bought the building, it belonged to him, so the tenancy was full. He was prosperous in the building. The first guy wasn't. Now, is there nothing for the first guy? The first guy who lost the building, what about his abundance and his prosperity? The Creator didn't set it out for him 100% also? Absolutely. But he's got to be willing to go through the loss of that building and doing whatever he needs to do along the way to be with a light in order to have what the Creator already set out for him, that's just hidden from his view. It's not that he has to bring it from somewhere. He just has to project it from inside out, and it'll show up in the material physical world. And that's sometimes the hardest thing for us in the center to do, is to let go and to appreciate the things that leave us and appreciate the things that come our way. Because it has to be for our good if we're doing the spiritual work.